Okay, hello there. Um, for now, I'm going to be doing this number here. This was number 37 from the ICT Students Workbook Paper 2. Actually, this is a common number in a lot of textbooks, so it's also found in this very textbook. So this is the question: key in the following data in a spreadsheet program of your choice. Save it as roll call. Now, more so, this is going to apply mostly to S6 because these straight questions may apply to that class as of now, unlike the items of Senior 4. But it's also important as well to S4s and other people who want to use Excel in their day-to-day activities. I've already typed this information in my roll call. Actually, my folder is here, latest tutorial. Then the Excel file is here, roll call. So if I open roll call, it's already having this information typed. So even at your computer, you can type this information the way it is while copying from the textbook, or you can pause and copy what I did. This one's just click at the cell, then I give it a fill color, and then I bold the words. Note: P represents present and A represents absent. This is just a simple roll call from a class. For example, Y is present on Monday, present on Tuesday, present on Wednesday, present on Thursday, and absent on Friday, etc. etc. I'll go back to the question here. Rename sheet 1 as attendance and change the tab color to red. Now, if you're renaming sheets and we're changing the tabs to red, this is a sheet, for example, sheet 1. I want to rename it. I either double left click at it or I just right click. I select rename, then I rename it attendance according to the question. If I want to give it a red color, right click again at the tab, then you select tab color. They want it to be in red. Now that was the first question that was asked. Next, insert a grid beginning from A17 to sort the data above. Insert a grid. A grid is this small table they have given us, beginning from A17. Now, if this is my Excel and I'm inserting a grid, it should be at A17. Let me first delete this row. Right click at number 15, then you go to delete so that I can get more space for the grid. Now the grid is going to be this table they have given us. It is actually a very important table in all the questions I'm going to do. So the table starts with status, and status is A or B. Actually, there's a mistake there. Instead of B, it's supposed to be P, because P is for present. So first type status, it's A absent and P present, because even here the note said P represents present. Let me see the grid again. Then days of the week. Now for days in Excel, you may not necessarily type to save time. Just type a Monday, then you use an autofill to drag up to the day you want. It's the same I did here. Same applies to months of a year, even days of a week. Just autofill. Autofill, we all know that it's this small box here. Not doing this, but it's just this small box at the bottom right corner. Now that's the grid, and it's inserted from A17. I think that's it. Okay. Then if I go back to the grid, I'm supposed to give it all borders. Highlight it, then select all borders. Okay, I continue with the questions. Using the COUNTIF function, populate the table above. Using the COUNTIF function, populate the table above. Back to the question. They're telling us to use the COUNTIF to populate this table, the grid. For example, Monday, we're supposed to find the students who are absent on Monday and the students who are present on Monday. So if I want to find the students who are absent on Monday, I'm supposed to count them by use of a function. Now, using this small portion of Monday, because I'm having a few students, I can easily count them. This is 1, and 2. My answer should be 2. But take an example of a class of 200 students. You can't count them like such. You just use a function to easily get it. I'm going to put a function equals count if. Count if is a function that is capable of counting whichever selections you want from an Excel program. Count if, it's one word, open brackets, range. Our range for Monday is B2 to B14. You can type it manually or you can highlight from B2 to B14 because it's the range I want to count from, B2 to B14 in Monday. Then I open the quotes. There are 2 at once. Yes. And then I put A. I close the quotes and then I close the brackets. I'm putting A because I want to count those who are absent first on Monday. That's why I'm putting A in quotes. The answer is 2 when I press enter. So I'm going to count the rest of the days automatically because for Monday, people who are absent are 2. You need the answer for Tuesday as well. You need for Wednesday up to Friday. So I'm going to just autofill the days to my right. Yes. So Tuesday there were 6 who were absent, and if I'm to count them to confirm it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Correct. Proceed to present now. You can do this with me. Yes. Count if. Open brackets. Not forgetting the range, highlight, or you can type it manually. Open quotes, actually put a comma first, then open quotes. This time around we put a P because we're looking for those who are present on Monday. Okay, press enter. The answer is 11 and you drag to your right. Correct. So I've used the count if function to determine those who are present and absent per day of the week. Now that is it with the question, and let's let us see. I've done it using the count if function, populate the table above, and I've populated it. I've already populated it with this data here. Okay. Next, generate a column graph to represent the data as an object. On sheet 4, there's a mistake here. On sheet 4 of the workbook, they want me to draw a column graph to represent the data in the recently done grid on sheet 4. So if I want to draw a graph using this, of course we use this grid that is summarized to draw the graph, highlight it, go to insert, look for a graph column, preferably this one, clustered. You see clustered, if I click at clustered, it's putting out my data properly. So I'm going to take this to sheet 4, right click and cut immediately, create more sheets, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 4 and I'm putting it here. Right click, paste, or Control V. Now this is the graph. I can just play with it around by increasing the size. This is it, but it's still incomplete because the graph should have a title, it should have y-axis, it should have x-axis and a legend. So I'm going to just put them there to make my graph a complete one and a correct one. You see that A represents absent and P represents present according to the colors. I can type a heading here based on, creativity. Heading can be different based on someone's creativity. Now this is a 3D graph. A 3D graph representing students who were present, in brackets orange, it's just a color, and absent in brackets blue, in days of the week. A 3D graph representing students who were present orange and absent blue in days of the week. Now that's a heading on my graph, and I can put X and Y axis. Click at your graph, go to design, add chart element, then under axis titles you select primary, horizontal, and then you delete the text there, you put the text that suits your graph. Now in the x-axis, these are days of the week, and in the y-axis, put the y-axis under design, axis titles, vertical. There's a numerical, maybe numerical data. Yes, now this is my graph, and I've answered it. Back to the attendance sheet. Next up, after the graph, insert a row. By the way, it's important to rename sheets. I can rename sheet 4 as maybe graphical data. I said if you're renaming a sheet, you can right click at the sheet text, select rename, or you can double left click there to enable your rename. Back to the attendance sheet. Next question. Insert a row between Kasada and Olugembe for Ikendi with that data. So between Kasada and Olugembe, so Kasada is here, Olugembe is here for Ikendi. So if I want to insert a row between Kasada and Olugembe, I right click at the end of Olugembe, then I go to insert. It's going to be inserted in the right direction. Unlike someone who goes and right clicks at Kasada, then they go to insert, it's going to be inserted in the wrong direction. So you need it between Kasada and Olugembe. Right click at the end of Olugembe, you go to insert, then you put Ikendi because it was required. Then their data is this. I think it's P at the start, then P at the P at the start, then P at the end. Then for these days he was absent. Now I hope you're realizing something in my work, that it was automatically changing in this summary table. Even my graph is automatically changing. So that's why here in the question they're telling us that insert a row between Kasada and Olugembe. Put that. I've done it. Make sure I use summary table and graph automatically updates. Yes, my work was being updating. It has been updating automatically. If you didn't see it, if I go back to Excel here, and then for Ikendi, instead of P, if I put A, if you be keen here, you click, you see the 3 is changing and the 11 changing. So P, it's what the automatic part meant. Then next, after Friday on your summary, insert a column with the heading total performance. So after Friday in your summary, so after Friday in my summary, it's right here. They're telling me to insert a heading total performance, word wrap it. Hence determine the performance for each status. So I'm going to insert a heading total performance, and then I'm going to word wrap it, and then I'll determine the total performance per status. So I'm going to put total performance. Okay, so word wrap means that instead of this text overflowing to the rest of the cells, it's going to be pushed down. For example, total PER, instead of FO and the rest of the letters overflowing to the column H, it should be pushed down to the very cell you're in. So word wrap is going to solve that. If I click at wrap text, you see performance is not overflowing to the column H, it is being pushed down. That's the meaning of word wrap. So you just click at what you want to word wrap, and then there's wrap text here. So it's just the sum function that can do it. Open brackets. I want this from B19 to E to F19. Then I close the brackets, I hit enter. So the absentees in the entire week were 32, and those who were present in the entire week were 38. Okay. Next up, so I've done letter G. I'm heading to letter H. Insert other three columns: maximum, minimum, average, using suitable formula. The word is formula, non-function. Generate the required values for each category P and A. Now, a formula is always going to lack a function name, but there is no way you can use a formula to do max and min. Yes, maybe average, but for max and min, we're supposed to use a function in most cases. So if I'm putting max, I put maximum here, then here I put minimum, then here I put average, because it's what I want to do. Let me first give it all borders. My work should have this. Maybe increase a little bit. Okay. So if I want to do maximum, the maximum number of people who are absent per day. Of course, before even doing maximum, I already know my answer is 10, because Friday is the day that had most of the students absent. So my answer should be a 10. I put equals maximum, or equals max, open. The range is this, from B19 to F19. Close the brackets, hit enter. The answer is 10. Now, sum applies to the max of present is 12. Minimum equals min, open brackets, the same range. Now, the minimum number of absentees was on Monday, I think it was 2. Of course, my answer is also 2. And the minimum number of present students, I think, was 4. And it is on Friday. Same applies to average, equals average, open brackets. So the average, you're going to just get the total over number of days. Now the total for A, the average of A, the total of A is in G19 over, the days are 5. Close the brackets, hit enter. Same applies to present students. Present students equals G20, it's right here, over 5. Press enter. Okay. Insert a header of your name and class respectively. I'll first leave that, because whenever I insert headers and footers in Excel, whenever we do that, it's going to divide the work. It's always important to do that as your last number when you're doing Excel. Maybe if your work is divided, it may confuse some of the Excel users. Sort the work respectively. I will do this as the last one, letter I. Sort the work in respect to name in ascending order. Sort the names in ascending order. Ascending highest, it's always this, smallest to largest or highest. Highlight the names and then go to this, it's under the home tab, and then select ascending. Continue the current selections, and names are going to be ascended, and it's what is wanted. Now we note that whenever we ascend names, the names are going to change, but this data is not changing. We should note that yes, the names change, but the data doesn't change. Anyway, I will do a tutorial soon to maybe show us how we can sort the names, so that after a name has been ascended, it goes with its data. Yes, we shall do that in some other tutorial to come. Back to the questions. I think I've ascended. Okay. At the bottom of your summary table, add a row for total to determine the total number of students expected every day. Now for letter K, it's really it's going to really show that the work we're doing is really right, because they're telling us that at the bottom of the summary table, insert a row total to determine the number of students expected every day. So if I'm putting total here, for example, if I'm typing total and then I want to find the total number of students per day, all my answers should be uniform, because a class has that constant number of students, not minding about absentees and those are present. So a class is going to have that constant number of students in it. So the answers here as well should be constant, because for example, if it is a senior 5 class, it's going to have a constant number of learners. For example, 32 as a number. If 2 are present, 30 are absent, it means the answer is going to be 32. The learners are 32. If 16 are present and 16 are absent, still 32 is going to be the number. Same applies to this. If I add absentees and those who are present, press enter, and then I scroll to Friday, the number is constant. So the class has 14 learners, not minding about those who are present and those who are absent. Now that's the answer to that. Letter I, present the center the work on worksheet 1, both vertically and horizontally. So if you want to center the work both vertically and horizontally in your work, this is what you do. Highlight all your work. After highlighting all the work, right click at what you've highlighted, select format cells, and then select alignment. Horizontally, they said center. Vertically, they want us to center. Click OK. Now my work is centered in a cell. It's centered in a cell. If I click at Naigaga, you see Naigaga, the name is at the center of a cell. Unlike this, if I type this, Naigaga is going to be on the left of the cell. Okay, but in my work, Naigaga is in the center of a cell. Okay, I'll put a head of a name and a class, then I'll show you how to print, then I'll exit. If I want to put a header, of a name, was it head of a name and class, head of a name and class respectively. Maybe they wanted us to put a head of a name and a class respectively. So I want to go to insert, then I select head and footer, and then I put a name, Kelo Joyce Iggy S6. So that's just an example of a name in the header. So you see my work is divided, and let me first close the header section. Click at design. Actually, let me first scroll to this. Yes, this is what I wanted. You see that my work is now separated, and this may confuse some users. So if you want maybe work to be on one sheet, you can try to squeeze a little bit your column so that you can push the other work that is pushed to the other sheet. Maybe you want your work to be visible in one sheet. Try to reduce on the column sizes so that your work can be pushed to the sheet you want. So if I reduce on the size of maximum, minimum, etc., you see it's now pushed to one sheet. Yes, that is how you do that. And for the printing part of Excel, if you're printing the last number, Ctrl P, or you click at File, then you select Print. Print is here. Then for Excel, you always select Fit Sheet on one page, so that your work is going to be fitted on one page. So you don't leave it as no scaling. You select Fit Sheet on one page so that it is really on one page, like the preview here. And then maybe you mine the printer name. So I'm going to print mine with this printer, Howlett Packard HP LaserJet 500 color, whichever printer you have, and then the copies you want, maybe 1 copy. But this is a very important setting. You can fit sheet on 1 page and then you print. Okay, so same applies to the other sheets you've worked on. I don't forget this one. That's why I said you name them, because if you don't rename a sheet, you may see something as sheet 2, sheet 3, sheet 1, and you may think there's no work. So if you named it as graphical data, of course you won't forget to print this. Click at graphical data, you try to extend your graph at the first part of your sheet, then print, then instead of actually here I'm not saying fit sheet on 1 page, but you can decide to print your graph. Now the mistake we can do here is this: if your graph is in the middle of your sheet like this, then you print. In most cases your paper may divide, your paper may be divided, which is not right. Now mine is not divided because I'd already changed to fit sheet on 1 page in the first sheet. But if you don't change that, your graph may be divided. To avoid that, instead of no scaling, you put the setting I talked of, then you do the printing. Now that's how this question was supposed to be done. That is the entire guide to the question 37 in this ICT workbook, and I felt I was to share that with you. Bye bye.